Total crypto market cap for altcoins, that green arrow, a target that'll send shivers down your spine. Ethereum. We've been waiting months for this move. Really, ever since we broke to the downside of this massive pattern, we've waited for the break back into the apex. It is here. What are the targets for Ethereum? What does it mean for altcoins? I want to break that down on the ETH chart, and ADA making its move, doing its thing. This weekly candle right here. I want to discuss targets for ADA, but I more meaningfully, I would say, want to discuss always some potential caution. So hit the subscribe, hit the like on the way in. If you're not in our intelligence system, please get in there, get our risk models for altcoins, for Bitcoin, get our exit planners and start planning, because if we get this bull market, if this plays out, you're really going to want to be prepared. So I want to start on the altcoin market cap chart and break some things down for you. So in a recent video, I kind of discussed and laid out this structure that has been forming. And just to give you a sense, our risk model, this proprietary risk model that we have for just, this is altcoins, specifically altcoins in general, altcoin market cap. Look at the compression. And this isn't the first time I've discussed this, but we are sitting at a 24 right now. If you look at previous cycles, the 20s, right? This is pre-bull market area. And I want to point out to you, this right here was a high fear environment, like massive fear, right? The 2020 capitulation. We go and we look at the fear and volatility index, right? This was where altcoins were, that high fear moment. And it came out of that moment into a pre-bull market moment. And this is what just happened with the tariff fears. We came out of this tariff fear moment into a pre-bull market moment. That's where we are right now. And I posted actually on April 4th, the VIX S&P 500 index has surpassed the tariff fear from Trump's first term. VIX is now approaching COVID levels, which also mark the bottom. Money printer soon. Bottom is close. And if you go look at the total crypto market cap chart that we're dissecting, and then I want to talk about these targets, guess what? That was right in here somewhere. The bottom is close. And that was the bottom. But I think more meaningfully, what I'm trying to say is the fear that was here, very similar to the fear that was all the way back here. And notice where we went into. We went into this kind of area out of that fear into the 20s, into the 30s from a risk score perspective. And that marked the pre-bull market era. And look where we are right now. We came out of this April 4th fear, and we are in the 20s. You know, we were in the teens, obviously, but we're in 24 right now. So we need to start paying attention to altcoins. So the targets that I want to discuss in terms of the altcoin market cap chart, and then I'm going to get over to Ethereum and Cardano, is this. First target is a 1618 area. So that's a macro cycle higher high area. So it's the last bull market high for altcoins. Incredible to think how far away we still are from that area with the amount of bullishness that is going on. We're going to look at some of that bullishness in this video, but swing high to swing low of the cycles, right? So bull market high to bear market low. It's this 1618 area that I'm watching. It's just over, it's like 2.5 trillion, let's just say. So this would be like a double of the current market cap for total crypto market cap, excluding Bitcoin, all the altcoins. That's the first target. So I don't know how this will play out, the structure of it, the way in which this cycle has been going. This could be like a long process. Like if this is a super cycle, for instance, I don't know if it's going to be like previous cycles. Boom, boom. But what I will say is maybe we get some resistance there when it happens. But my target here that I'm really watching is this area up here. So the lower end of this triangle that I have in white is meaningful because it's really the structured breakout measured move that we have here on this chart. So boom, right to this area of like $6 trillion. But I have previous cycle data, right? And I have this trend line going up. If we have just this parabolic, crazy money printers are going like crazy, insane bull market that at this point, nobody is really expecting. But if it happens, I'd really be watching anywhere in this area, like 6 trillion up to 10, even higher, depending on the time frame. that would be the target for altcoin market. So I just want to bring that to your attention right now. I'm not saying this is like in the short term. This is for this cycle. And we've already seen this cycle has gone in many different directions. So let's go start talking about some Ethereum and Ethereum charts, and then we'll look at Cardano. But BlackRock's Ethereum attracts a staggering 300.9 million inflow, signaling major institutional interest. You might be like, well, what period of time is it doing that? Well, let's go look. It was just yesterday. $300 million inflow, 383 million total if you look at all of these ETFs. So we've been discussing and watching, especially BlackRock, just been accumulating almost every day. I mean, on this chart, going back to June 23rd, there's one day where there's outflow. So we have a ton of accumulation happening from an ETF perspective. And now we're starting to see this build up. We're going to start seeing, I think, an Ethereum supply shock. I think we're going to start seeing, once we start really breaking technical areas, truly breaking technical areas, we're going to start seeing Ethereum make some powerful moves. So on the Ethereum chart, my next target, very simply, is this area up here. It's the higher end of the triangle. It's around $3,700. This is a multi-year story. That's what you have to understand. I have way larger targets for Ethereum for this cycle, but I'm talking more in the short to midterm. If this Ethereum move continues to move to the upside, this area is really crucial if you think about it, because this is a trend line going back to the last bull market high. It's been pretty much just resistance for years since that moment. So what happens at $3,700 is a very big question that I have. One thing that I wanted to point out to you in terms of price action for Ethereum is this. And by the way, on its way to $3,700, if we look at this last swing high to swing low, just notice the Fibonacci for Ethereum, 3,000 to around 3,500, right around that $3,700 area. Ethereum might see some resistance very soon, but how's it going to interact with all of this resistance as we're now back in the apex of this triangle? That is something I will be watching. But in terms of the price action, how Ethereum might operate here, we had the breakout back here in October to November. You all remember, it led to very nice move. Most of us thought this was the beginning of a parabolic altcoin season, right? And it wasn't. It didn't play out that way. We've been in really months of frustration in terms of the altcoin markets. You know the story. But what I wanted to point out was how this move operated. Higher highs, higher lows for Ethereum, kind of escaping this area. And this is what just happened. We're escaping a swing low of some sort. And now we're just starting to get like this higher high move, right? You can see it. Higher highs, higher lows. It's kind of messy. And it's, I think, a lot due to how sideways we were on Ethereum ever since May. But we're getting that kind of move. But while that's happening, what I want to point out to you is this. When the higher high move was happening back here in November, notice what the RSI was doing, right? And let me close these other ones because this is a little distracting. No, that's maximize. So if we look at the RSI back here, we're getting these lower highs, right? While we're getting kind of like an ETH breakout. And we might see something similar. And it kind of lends itself to like some bearish divergence. And then it actually does kind of make a nice little dip. And there's the reset of the RSI. But then boom, the real parabolic move happens. The real powerful move happens. The reason I'm bringing this up is just because we're getting a similar move. ETH is breaking out. And if you go look at the RSI right now, similar to what happened here, check it out. We're getting a nice little move. It's a higher high. The RSI is like, man. And it seems like it might top out soon before we even break this previous high. That's not necessarily a bad thing. I wanted to bring it to attention because I think that's, as we go into this new Ethereum move at the apex of this multi-year triangle, I think it's important to watch momentum and anticipate these things. So Ethereum might get higher highs, higher lows with bearish divergence, and then it might need some, maybe it gets up here, breaks the apex. It might need a nice big reset, a nice big dip to kind of, depending how this plays out, reset the chart real quick. You know what I'm saying? So I wanted to bring that to attention to anticipate that. But Ethereum right now, this is a massive move for altcoins. If this Ethereum move continues to the upper range of this apex and this trend line up here around $3,700, we're going to see altcoins really moving. We're going to see the total crypto market cap for altcoins start testing these previous highs back here and really all-time highs on the altcoin market cap chart. Let's go to Cardano and talk about what's going on Cardano. So let's start with the bullishness, okay? And then we're going to talk about just some areas to be cautious. Nothing crazy. The bullishness is all over the place on the weekly. And the reason why is because of this. And you might be like, well, Dan, I mean, just look at this. It's a lower high, right? And that's true. That is really where we're going to pull our cautiousness from when I get to that moment of this video. But what I want to point to your attention is this lower high is way different than this lower high. And let me explain how. And it's very simple. This move, right? For instance, even this one right back here, go look at a stock RSI, for instance. We're like falling. We're like getting into oversold on the RSI. We're resetting. This entire move was like a reset move on the macro. If you look at the MACD, it was brand new territory for the MACD. Now we're in like that moment after all of the indecisiveness, after all of the higher high or lower highs and lower lows. And now we're at this moment where the MACD is actually about to potentially make this move where it's crossing that signal line right there in red. So the blue above the red. This is the move we're waiting for, everybody. Check it out. This is the last time it happened. This was September. You know that was right before the massive move. And then you just go look at any MACD on most charts on the weekly. It's a very big deal when you have the MACD line crossing the signal line. We're very close to that happening right now. We weren't close to that happening back here, you know? That's not what was happening. And then you look at things like the RSI, the slower moving momentum oscillator, you can just see we're completely kind of reset. We were in this very high fear environment at one point, and now we're kind of making a turn for it. So that's how Cardano is different right now. But besides the momentum, right now Cardano has broken within this one weekly candle these insanely important macro moving averages. The 200 moving average on the weekly, 64 cents. The 50-week moving average, 66 cents. And the 200-week moving average, 70 cents. Just like that, within 1 week, those moving averages have been broken. The next 2 days, 11 hours from when I do this video are very important because how will the weekly close? That is what I'm watching on the weekly chart. But right now, this is the very beginning of a Cardano move. And if you want to get a sense of what Cardano risk model score is, we can go look at it right now really quick. It's only at a 40. And I say only at a 40, it's at a hold, but it's only at a 40. This, if you go to pre-bull market last cycle, look, there's 42, November 2020. ADA was at 10 cents. This was before the move, everybody. So imagine having this risk model last cycle as it's cruising up to the upside. You're knowing when to exit, or even 2 cycles ago. These are what the risk models are for, whether that's for Cardano, Ethereum, XRP. We have a bunch of altcoins back here. Not all of them. I want to be very clear. But we have a bunch of altcoins, and this is what our members will be using to really plan their exits this cycle. And this is where it's getting important to start thinking about these things, because the move, the breakout move, I don't know if it's going to happen right now, right? This week, this month, but it could be getting very close. And we know how quick the moves can happen, right? You can maybe find yourself in, hey, I'm in some take profit territory before you know it. So when it comes to Cardano, I think if we go to the daily chart, we get some insights on targets to the upside. And then I want to talk about the caution thing. So targets to the upside are very simple for me. And I'll explain it this way. Last time when we were getting this move, I remember we're breaking out. I think I remember like breaking 50 cents. I was pretty hype. I think I was doing a live stream on like a Saturday night. It was nice. But I think at the time, what's most meaningful was this area being broken. It's like this move I enjoy. I'm not talking trash on it, right? And if we get a continued move of right here, I will enjoy. I'm not talking trash on it. But there's a meaningful area for me from a technical analysis perspective I wanted to show you. Back here, it was this lower high Fibonacci. So if we look at that, that is the last swing high to swing low, breaking this green triangle or a rectangle. And by the way, notice the resistance right there. This will give us a sense of maybe our first target for Cardano if we break the immediate short-term resistance. So check this out. And by the way, I'm going to even take this a step further. Swing low to swing high. There's that one, that green rectangle, breaking that, and look at the resistance there. So now, and look at the structure. Boom, consolidate, boom, consolidate. So now here we are, and I'm eyeing that area once again. Swing high to swing low. This green rectangle. This is that next target. It's $1 to around $1.14. Maybe there's some resistance there. Let's be careful for that. But if ADA starts breaking that area, that becomes incredibly meaningful to me, because guess what? That's also the upper end of those bull market doors. You go to that weekly chart, that is breaking this area right here. That's the bull market break. And I'm hitting my microphone. That's how hype it gets me. But that's the bull market break, everybody. And this is what happened last cycle. Breaking that moment was when Cardano really went crazy. So these are stepping stones, as you can see, and it all starts in the ADA daily chart, getting to this area, this lower high Fibonacci, and breaking it. And in the meantime, I will enjoy the move. However, let me just say this right now. Cardano is at the 200-day moving average. 70, I mean, literally testing it. This is going to be interesting to see how this daily candle closes for ADA, because we are just at this area. Why I'm bringing that up? You go back here. We've been here before. Nice little breakouts, right? And then rejection below the 200, and then falling into some more consolidation. It was not like a bear market thing, but it's just a more frustration thing. And so I'm very much seeing if we can get this type of move, this separation above the 200-day moving average. And this is solely what I wanted to bring up in this video. What's happening here? What's happening today? Are we getting a daily resistance candle, meaning we're just falling back below, closing below the 200-day moving average, getting a big wick? Let's monitor that resistance is all I'm saying. But we start flipping this. Then we start anticipating potential throwbacks, right? To test the key moving averages. We still have the 20 that needs to cross above the 50. There's a story here. I don't know how it's going to play out, but it might be volatile, and it's something to prepare for. But either way, everybody, altcoins, they are at the very beginning. We are in pre-bull market territory still. We have to give time for higher highs and higher lows, but these are the things that I'm watching, and I wanted to share it with you today as we start this day. I hope you're well. Have a good day. If you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. If you're not in our intelligence system, I am still running a 40% sale, really, since the launch. We had a 50%, we lowered it to 40, but it's still at 40%. I'm telling you, the tools, in my very, very strong opinion, are valued at way more. So get in there, go check us out, give us a shot. Our risk models and exit planners are next level. We even have Zero back here now, this autonomous agent that can help you. It's trained on all of our data. So you can learn how to use our system very simply and strategize with Zero. So I appreciate all of you watching. Let's see how this thing plays out. I'll see you in the next video. Have an awesome day, and God bless.